Okay, so this is a new series where I'm going to be making a part list for a gaming PC at multiple different price points, using prices from the USA and all new parts, going from $200 all the way up to the no budget PC, which by the way is still half the price of a maxed out Mac Pro. Anyway, this is not about the Mac Pro, it's about the $200 gaming PC. And I just lied, the most gaming you're going to be doing on this thing is playing some cool math games. And it isn't actually $200, it's really $224. But hey, I don't want to put some no-name sketchy power supply in this build. Like, I'm not trying to blow up anyone's system.
So just take it in, slide it in nice and easy until you have a snug fit, and then shift it to the back and make sure it's...
Anyway, let's get started. First of all, let's start with our CPU. Or actually APU, because at this price point, we can't really afford a dedicated video card. I mean, unless you get like a GT210, but at that point, just stick with the integrated graphics. Yeah, so for our APU, I've gone with the AMD Athlon 3000G. It is a 2-core, 4-thread processor with a base clock of 3.5 GHz. It uses the Zen architecture, the same one we saw in first-gen Ryzen processors, meaning it's 14 nanometers. And crucially, it includes Radeon Vega 3 onboard graphics, which means, more importantly, that we don't have to buy a discrete video card. But most importantly is the price this thing is coming in, at a sweet $67. And for $67, it is a great deal. Not only are you getting a CPU, but also a GPU. And not a lot of people realize, but 2 cores is really all you need for most desktop tasks, such as documents as well as surfing the web. And I mean, I even edit my videos on a laptop with a dual core processor. Is it good editing? But that's probably just my editing skills and not the hardware. As for gaming, other than flash games, you can probably run Minecraft at like low settings at a playable frame rate. I'll link some gaming benchmarks in the description below if you want to check those out. This AMD APU also comes with a stock cooler. So yeah, it is pretty impressive how much value you're getting from this $67 package. And overall, I think this is a great deal for the price. Next, I'm going to talk about the motherboard. And it's a Gigabyte GA-A320M-S2H motherboard. And the reason I picked this is because it's the cheapest AM4 motherboard that I could find, coming in at a nice $55. As for the features it has, other than the insanely good price, it features 2 memory slots supporting up to 32 gigabytes of RAM, as well as 3 PCIe Express slots, with 1 being X16 and 2 being X1. Also, this motherboard supports NVMe M.2 SSDs, which means you can put some really fast storage on this thing. As for the I/O on this board, we're looking at 3 audio jacks, 2 PS2 ports, an Ethernet port, as well as 2 USB 2 ports, and 4 USB 3 ports. The video outputs are a DVI-D port, a HDMI port, as well as a VGA port. However, this motherboard does use the A320 chipset, meaning it does not support overclocking. And it is micro ATX, resulting in it having fewer expansion slots, and you'll probably have to buy a new case if you get an ATX or higher motherboard. Unless you're going to build this thing in an ATX case, which you could definitely do to save some money in the long term. And since this is an A320 motherboard, we're probably going to have to do a BIOS update on it to get it to support the AMD Athlon 3000G. I'll link a tutorial on how to do that in the description. So yeah, for the motherboard, I just got the cheapest one with an AM4 socket. Next is the memory, and I've gone with 1 stick of crucial DDR4 RAM. This RAM is 4 gigabytes and has a speed of 2666 megahertz. And despite what the Verge would tell you, this is actually pretty slow. But hey, for this price point, 4 gigabytes of RAM is really all you can get without compromising on other components. You won't be able to play many games with 4 gigabytes of RAM, but that is the minimum that is required for games like Fortnite, Minecraft, and CSGO. So other than the stick looking like it came straight out of a Dell Optiplex of 2004, it's pretty good for this PC. But if you do have $20 extra to spend, I would definitely get an 8GB stick at 3000 megahertz or even 32 megahertz instead of this stick. For storage, we're not getting any SSD in this build, so it's just a plain old hard drive. It's a Toshiba 320GB one, and it's quite slow, being only 5400 RPM and having the right speed of 300 megabytes per second. Not very impressive, but the fact that you can get all that for just $18, that's quite impressive. As for the power supply, I could have gone with this sketchy looking $30 power supply that was suspiciously cheap for being 500 watts. but I decided against it, and I've gone with a EVGA 400 watt ATX power supply. I mean, it's not very impressive. It doesn't have any 80 plus certification or all black cables, and it certainly isn't modular or even semi-modular, but at least it's a power supply from a reputable manufacturer in EVGA, and it's only $37. And for the thing that's gonna house all of this hardware, we have to choose a case. Honestly, get a cardboard box. I'm only joking, but seriously, if you want to save like $30, you could definitely make your own case. But for the less adventurous of us, I've picked out the Rosewill FBM-06 Micro ATX Mini Tower Case. And I'm not gonna act like I know anything about this case. I just sorted from price low to high, and this is where I ended up. Well, but the features that it does have are pretty modest. It has no side panel window, power supply shroud, and pretty limited airflow. But then again, you're not going to be putting the hottest system in here anyway. But at least it has some openings behind the motherboard tray that might allow for some cable management. Also, personally, I do like the clean aesthetic that this case has, but the design is definitely not modern. It does have two internal 2.5-inch bays as well as two 3.5-inch bays for your storage. It also supports up to 2 extra fans. The front I/O of this case is okay. It has 2 USB 2 ports, 1 USB 3 port, as well as a microphone jack and a headphone jack. Overall, this case is nothing amazing, but for $30, you're getting quite a lot. And that has been the whole spirit of this build. It isn't the best, but for what you're paying, what you're getting is quite amazing. As for potential upgrades, I recommend that if you have $20 extra to spend, like I said, you should upgrade the RAM to 8 gigabytes at 3000 megahertz. That will definitely boost both your gaming and web browsing performance. If you have $50 extra on top of the original $200, I would recommend getting an SSD of around the same capacity instead of that hard drive. Maybe something like the Kingston A400 or 80 gigabyte one might be a good option. If you have any more than that to spend, I suggest that you save up and go watch my $300 gaming PC video and buy that PC instead of this one. That video is going to come out in like probably 2 weeks, so I guess if you can, wait for that. But I'm pretty sure like 1,000 other YouTubers that are better than me have already done $300 gaming PC builds. So yeah, that was my $200 gaming PC video. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next video.